I can't believe you voted for Trump. I'm done. I want nothing to do with this family. Hey, can I have $20?
Considering how my mother wears a diaper, she cannot get out of her chair. My dad has recently had a heart attack and probably is going to have more because he has to take care of my mother, who is twice his size, who wears diapers, who is basically a child now. And I had to help them. I also had to be their therapist because they have marriage issues. And no, they're not going to be better off without me at all. I was someone that was forced to help them. So no, I'm going to be better off without them. They're not going to be better off without me. They have lost some of their support to clean up their shit and dump out their toilets for them and go over and clean their moldy cat pee infested house for them. So yeah, you're wrong. But nice try.
Families are breaking apart over MAGA. Parents cut off, siblings blocked, lifelong friendships over. And here's what nobody wants to admit. This isn't about politics. When someone votes for policies that threaten your existence, your healthcare, your identity, your safety, that's choosing ideology over you. But the other side sees it differently. To them, you're the intolerant one destroying families. So who's right? Today we're diving into the messiest question of 2025. When do you walk away, and when do you stay and fight? Welcome back to Mind Mirror. Let's get into it.
I had to cut off one of my really good friends. He's a Trump supporter in China. He's in China. He's Cantonese. A Trump supporter. And I'm trying to get him to understand, like, yeah, no. Racist, doesn't like women, black woman. Just trying to convince me that Trump isn't racist and he has no agenda against women. I want to cry. I want to cry. I loved him so fucking much. For what? To be for someone who hates the color of my skin and what's between my legs. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. I want to cry, if I'm being honest.
This pain is real. Losing someone you loved because their politics revealed who they actually are, that's not dramatic. That's grief. This isn't about disagreeing on tax rates. It's about discovering that someone you cared about supports policies that dehumanize you, and the worst part, they expect you to just get over it. It's just politics, they say, like your existence is a debate topic. When someone votes for policies that strip your rights or threaten your safety, they're telling you who they value. And it's not you. Grieve the friendship, because you didn't lose them over politics. You lost them when you realized they were never really there for you at all.
All of the people that are getting on here and talking about how their family members are cutting them off and refusing to talk to them and breaking up friendships, and people that are literally like dissolving their family units and those like really strong relationships, at least what we would think would be strong relationships, because of a difference of opinion in politics, because of a difference of who people voted for. I just have to say, first off, it's not you, it's them. It's 100% them.
Please be careful of the people in your life who are MAGA, okay? Even more so now, because anybody who's left at this point, that means that they don't disapprove of what was done to those girls and women and boys and men. Heinous, heinous things.
Be careful of people who still support this. They're capable of anything. I understand the fear. When someone endorses cruelty at a policy level, what does that say about their character? Here's the nuance. Most aren't actively dangerous. They're complicit. They saw the harm and decided it was acceptable collateral damage. That might be worse than outright hatred, because the ones who smile at family dinners while voting against your rights, they make you question everything. When someone says, "I don't feel safe," they don't mean physical violence. They mean betrayal.
And so, just because they haven't done anything like that you know of, does not mean that they're not capable of doing heinous things themselves. What we do know is that for all those years, they had to keep their mouths shut and keep who they were under wraps for fear of shame. And the reason they love Trump is because he made it possible for them to be them. Those people are dangerous.
Breaking news, a movement of people are cutting off ties with pro-Trump family members during the holidays, and here's the top 5 things you need to know about it. Number 5, the movement is headed by Yale psychologist Amanda Calhoun. Number 4 is that she says we should separate from loved ones if we're liberal during this time who voted for Donald Trump, because if they voted for Trump, they voted against you. Number 3 is that she also says you don't owe anyone your time. And, you know, Amanda, I do agree with this. You do not owe anybody your time, and it shouldn't matter if it's the holidays or any time. But also, to use politics as a wedge between you and a loved one is such a terrible, isolating idea, and you're basically pigeonholing yourself to cut yourself off from everybody, because you're never going to agree with everyone's political stance, and everybody's going to have a little bit of difference of opinion, and just cutting yourself off from loved ones doesn't seem like a healthy decision. Number 2 is that Sunny Houston from The View, of course those chickens had to weigh in on it, agreed with Amanda, further spreading her bullshit propaganda. If you like this list and want more about other nonsense, follow me, leave me a comment with your thoughts on this movement, and also follow my fiance Samantha, who I've tagged. And number 1, I just want to say, if you allow politics to wedge between you and your family, everybody loses.
Does everybody actually lose, though? Because when your family votes for someone who wants to strip your health care, criminalize your identity, deport your friends, they already chose. And it wasn't you. This isn't about tax policy. It's about existence. You don't cut people off over budget disagreements. You cut them off when their vote has real consequences on your actual life. When staying means accepting that you're worth less than their political team. Sure, maybe everybody loses. But sometimes losing toxic relationships is the only way to survive. Not every bridge deserves to stay standing.
So I told my Instagram stories this morning that I left MAGA, and honestly was received really well. Lots of people telling me that they've already actually left the Trump train a long time ago and just haven't verbalized it. A lot of people who were affected by my vote telling me thank you for saying this publicly. A lot of people that were like, interesting, can you tell me more? And honestly, I'm really excited about starting this conversation with people and being able to bridge this gap, because it's not just about realizing you're anti-Trump. It's about realizing that you're anti-MAGA and anti for Trump 2.0, and realizing that we've been bamboozled. Right now, I don't feel the most confident to educate people right now, because I'm just educating myself. I've got a stack this high of books that I have ordered about educating myself on all the things that I've been completely ignorant about while being a part of something that was completely against humanity. And again, if you don't know, I'm Carter. I was thrown into an ego death about 5 months ago and realized that all of the beliefs that I've been had in my life have been handed to me. And after reassessing my beliefs, I've completely 180'd where I was and realized I actually lean extremely progressive and on paper, very left.
Real quick, by becoming a channel member, you're not just supporting our work. You're helping us amplify voices, fight misinformation, and keep important conversations alive. Membership gives us the strength to keep producing content that matters. Join today and stand with us in shaping a better future.
And I'm not here to take on a new label. I'm very much well aware that our political system is two sides of the same coin, but it's more just I realized I was completely wrong by being on the right. I started sharing my journey, I don't know, within the last few months here on TikTok, but really started talking about leaving MAGA and leaving my old beliefs behind in the last couple weeks. And it's been a wild journey, to say the least. For the most part, everyone's really supportive. I can pretty much tell who are bots, who are probably not even Americans, who are shaming me, trying to make me feel some type of way. But I feel like people are really catching on that I'm being genuine with this journey that I'm having, and it's not just me being affected by this administration, it's me actually realizing I was wrong, and I'm here to right that wrong and do something that's actually productive for all of humanity, not just a small group of people within the world.
This is rare. Someone admitting they were completely wrong. Most people double down. They find new justifications, new ways to avoid facing themselves. But this person stopped and said, wait, what am I actually supporting? And they didn't leave because it personally affected them. They left because the ideology itself was wrong. That takes real courage. Change doesn't happen through shame. It happens through genuine self-reflection. And for everyone still defending indefensible positions, this is your invitation. You can just stop. Right now. Because the longer you wait, the harder it gets to admit you were wrong.
I used to be MAGA, and I am not a used to be because I am being personally affected by this horrible man. But it's because I had an ego death and I realized that I was wrong, and my newfound beliefs post ego death align with the left. So that's why I left MAGA, not because of the cost of my groceries or the state of the market or any of that. Yes, those are unfortunate things, but everyone's calling me out for jumping on a bandwagon because I'm being affected now. No, I had a fucking ego death and I realized I was wrong.
Saudi Arabia have a policy of zero tolerance for extremists. Check it out.
Say to people in Europe, European country, if you have, they accuse us of exporting extremist preachers, imams, they call them preachers. We say to them, show me, and if they're not a German citizen or a French citizen or British citizen, deport them. That's what we would do. If they're your citizen, then stop them from...
If the West followed the same policy, it would be a much more inclusive and safer place to live. All extremists from all religions and from all nationalities should be deported, and if they are national of that country, they should be reprimanded. Follow me for more. Yalla Bean.
So last night, I told my mom and dad that because they voted for someone who wants me dead, that they no longer have the privilege of having their daughter and their granddaughters in their life. And I told them, never contact me again. I'm never calling you. I want nothing to do with you. And take me out of the will. I have a younger brother who is also a MAGA. I said, when you guys pass away, give him the entire house. I don't want to inherit your house. I don't want anything from you. I don't want to hear from you ever again, because I'm no longer safe being in a relationship with you, because I'm queer, I'm autistic, I'm like half disabled, I have Lyme disease and POTS and a bunch of other shit, and I'm bisexual. I have 2 daughters, and my husband's also bisexual. It's like, I'm no longer safe with people like you. You'd be the first ones to turn me into the Schnazis if shit went down here. So I just, to anyone in the comments that's going to say, oh my god, that's so terrible, the left is so hateful, you guys shouldn't be cutting off your family. You know what? I'm not going to fucking go to Thanksgiving dinner with my family and look them in the eye and just play nice anymore. Like, I'm done doing this. I have been gaslit and neglected and verbally abused by my family for being different my entire life. And I've cut off all my aunts and uncles, anyone who voted for Trump, anyone who's a Christian in my family, I know they voted for Trump. So I have like 3 people in between I have 2 people on my mom's side and 1 person on my dad's side left, and they're cousins. Cause yeah. And I have my husband, I have my 2 daughters, and that's all I need. I'm not going to be gaslit, and I'm not going to be gaslit anymore. I'm done living this life. So, good riddance, bye.
Cutting off elderly, disabled parents who need care. That's brutal. But here's what people miss. This didn't happen in a vacuum. This was years of being dismissed, disrespected, having your identity invalidated while being expected to smile and serve. You can be justified and it can still be tragic. Both things are true. What created this? Parents who spent years choosing ideology over their own child, who voted for policies that directly threaten their kid's existence. And now they're shocked that their kid doesn't want to stick around. You can't tell someone their identity is invalid for years and then act surprised when they leave. This isn't cruelty. This is cause and effect.
Considering how my mother wears a diaper, she cannot get out of her chair. My dad has recently had a heart attack and probably is going to have more because he has to take care of my mother, who is twice his size, who wears diapers, who is basically a child now. And I had to help them. I also had to be their therapist because they have marriage issues. And no, they're not going to be better off without me at all. I was someone that was forced to help them. So no, I'm going to be better off without them. They're not going to be better off without me. They have lost some of their support to clean up their shit and dump out their toilets for them and go over and clean their moldy cat pee infested house for them. So yeah, you're wrong, but nice try.
So they were caretaker, therapist, maid, emotional support, all while being told they were too sensitive about politics. And now people are asking, but how can you abandon them? Easy. Years of being taken for granted. Years of cleaning literal shit while your own humanity gets dismissed as a debate topic. Here's the hypocrisy. The same people who preach personal responsibility and nobody owes you anything suddenly expect unconditional care when they need it. You can't spend decades telling people to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, then demand your estranged kid come wipe your ass because you won't hire help. Actions have consequences, even for parents.
How would you go about handling a family member like this? Roll the clip.
Hi, this is a series about cutting off your Trumpy family members. Why do you need to be perfect? Why do you need to consider everyone's feelings and make sure everyone is okay in the situation and watch what you say and say it perfectly and say it right, while they get to say whatever? They get to be racist, mean, awful to you, not respect your boundaries. They get to say whatever, do whatever, never consider your feelings. Why do you need to be perfect? And they get to do and say whatever. Does that sound fair to you?
Yeah, nothing of what he said there was true. Now, why do these types of people think that they just get to go on any sort of gender whim and demand you call them Z-zer, and when you don't, they get to label it as hate or bigotry? Yeah, that's not how the world works, dude. People don't have to bow down to your every whim. And let's be real, this guy's family probably cut him off years ago, so that's probably where the hate stems from. But go ahead and comment, how do you deal with these types of people? And be sure to like, follow, subscribe, do what you do.
Why do you have to be perfect while they get to be awful? Actually, yeah, that's the game. Marginalized people are expected to be endlessly patient, endlessly forgiving, while the people harming them face zero accountability. Why are you so divisive, they ask, while supporting divisive policies? It's exhausting. But here's the trap. Walking away means giving up any chance of changing minds. If everyone who disagrees just leaves, who's left to challenge them? It's lose-lose. Stay and suffer. Leave and lose all influence. So honestly, do what protects your sanity. You don't owe anyone your mental health, but understand what you're giving up.
What's up, TikTok? So Trump's got everybody in an uproar, man. He is shaking and baking. He has got the women saying that they're going to shave their head, they're going to cut all their hair off, and they're going to cut men out. They're not going to give them any attention and no sex. Well, that shit happened way before Trump. Y'all already fucking do that? Can you come up with something else? I just think it's funny as shit. We're gonna cut men off. You already cut us off. What difference does it fucking make? I'm glad I voted for Trump now. It wouldn't have made a damn bit of difference if I wouldn't have. Oh, man, it's so funny. Anyway, thanks for cutting us off, but I wouldn't shave your head if I were you. Have a good day.
If you're dating a guy who voted for Donald Trump, really think to yourself, do you want to raise a daughter with that man? Do you want to raise a daughter with a man who has condoned everything Donald Trump has said? And really think about that.
Absolutely, ladies, you should think about that. Because if your guy voted for Biden, then he's probably into touching your daughter in inappropriate ways, just like his daughter's diary says. The guy that voted for Kamala, like I'm assuming yourself did, then you believed in murdering that daughter before she was ever born, because it's the only thing that she ran on, so I guess, if you put it in that perspective, is he really that bad if you voted for Trump?
All right, good morning. Let's start planning. A couple of things that you need to start doing. One, understand that every single person who voted for Donald Trump is an enemy of the American people, and you need to cut them out of your life entirely. I don't care if they're a family member or a friend. I've already permanently cut out family members. I blocked their phone number, I blocked them on social media, and I don't plan on ever speaking to them again. Even if in 20 years they go, Chris, I'm so sorry, I voted for a fascist. I didn't know. Well, I knew, and we tried to warn you, so no, you're never getting fucking forgiven.
Everyone who voted differently is an enemy. Cut them all off. Get weapons. Prepare for war. Okay. Breathe. This is how you build an echo chamber so airtight you suffocate in your own righteousness. Nearly half the country voted that way. You can't cut them all out. They're everywhere. And this guarantees nothing changes. If you only talk to people who agree with you, you never challenge your own beliefs. I'm not saying befriend Nazis. I'm saying not everyone is a lost cause. Some are misinformed. Some genuinely didn't understand. Treating everyone like an enemy isn't activism. It's tribalism.
Step 2, you need to go get yourself a fun stick, okay? You need to go get yourself a fun stick. Fun sticks are not, they don't only apply to the Republican Party, they also apply to the Democrat Party. So go get yourself a fun stick and exercise that right of yours. And then third and final thing is you need to get a bug out bag. You need a bag that has MREs, water purification tablets, all of the medications that you need. Maps, definitely get a fucking map because these people have full control over the satellites. If they want, they're just going to turn off all of the fucking satellites. Or not turn them off, but turn off your access. Yeah, you need to start understanding what you're getting into. And if you think that I am being a fearmonger, it means that I am more prepared than you and you are naive.
I'm sick right now, but I'm cutting off all Trump supporters. If you support Trump, I don't want to know you. I don't want to get to know you. I don't want to tolerate you. I don't want you looking at me. I don't want you speaking to me. I want nothing to do with you. Leave, or if I come across your page and I find out that you did, I will block you immediately. I'm too tired. I'm too sick. I'm too disabled. I'm too much of an immigrant. I am too queer for this shit.
Whoa, hold on. This level of rage, wishing extreme harm on people, crosses a line that should never be crossed. I don't care how hurt you are. This kind of rhetoric is never justified. This is exactly what gets pointed to when people say, see, both sides are just as hateful. If you're fighting for compassion and human rights, you can't turn around and express this level of hostility. That's not justice. That's cruelty with a different label. If you're this angry, this burnt out, take a break, log off, because this doesn't help your cause. It destroys it.
So this week I actually came up with a really, really good response for why I started blocking some of my friends who were Donald Trump supporters. Mind you, these are also gay men who were Donald Trump supporters. And how do I know that they're Donald Trump supporters? Not because they just follow him on social media platforms, but because they also engage and like his content. So when you are liking the content, that is very different than you just following. My friend confronted me about why I blocked him on Instagram, and I basically said to him, I am no longer holding space for people whose values don't align with mine. He got really upset. He basically told me that I've been brainwashed by the media. He brought up all of these things about how we need to stop making this about politics and everything isn't about politics. And, I actually kind of just let him go off on a rant. And all I said was, I value all of the things that you have said. It's however, I no longer value you. All I'll say is that the reality of that friendship as well for me was that it was actually no longer giving me anything. It was no longer sparking joy. It was just something that I tolerated and that I dealt with for almost 8 years now, just because we had a history. And what I like is that this process, for me at least, is very, very much like spring cleaning and just getting rid of all the shit that you don't need anymore. And then you get to look at this clear space and you get to open up new things for yourself, and you get to open up space that you held for somebody and you get to give it towards somebody else. So I would even encourage people on the other spectrum of politics to do the same thing to liberals in their lives. If you hate us so much, don't make space for us anymore. It's very, very simple. I think that you will find that this cleansing is very life-giving for everybody. And at the end of the day, you might find, happiness and more peace, and you might find more, comfort with the decisions you're making in your life. So I just thought I'd share that.
I'm no longer holding space for people whose values don't align with mine. When confronted, I value what you said. I just don't value you anymore. Cold, but honest. Not every relationship is worth saving. Some friendships are built on history, not values. And when those values threaten your existence, it's time to let go. The spring cleaning comparison works. You're making space for relationships that actually give you something instead of draining you. Here's the truth. Both sides should do this. Stop forcing smiles through dinners while seething inside. Life's too short for obligation-based relationships. Just make sure you're cutting people off for the right reasons. Not because they voted differently, because their vote revealed values you can't live with. That's the real divide, not politics. Values. So here we are, divided, isolated, choosing teams over people. And I'm not here to tell you whether cutting off family is right or wrong. That's your call, your trauma, your boundary. But own it. Don't do it for social media. Don't do it for revenge. Do it because staying genuinely harms you. Here's the brutal truth. This isn't getting better. The divide is real. The pain is real. And just talk it out doesn't work when one side's vote actively harms the other side's life. So protect yourself. Set boundaries. Walk away if needed. But don't mistake isolation for victory, because when we stop seeing each other as human, everybody loses. For real this time. Drop a comment. Have you cut off family over politics? Regret it? Or best decision ever? Hit like, share with someone navigating this mess, and subscribe. This conversation isn't over. Not even close.
Real quick, by becoming a channel member, you're not just supporting our work. You're helping us amplify voices, fight misinformation, and keep important conversations alive. Membership gives us the strength to keep producing content that matters. Join today and stand with us in shaping a better future.